Okay, so we're asked to find the p-value. It says assume that the significance level is alpha is 0.1. Use the given information to find the p-value. The test statistic of z is equal to negative 1.23 is obtained when testing a claim that p is less than 0.2. Okay, so if we find step 1, the original claim, p is less than 0.2. The opposite is p is greater than or equal to 0.2, which means that h sub 0 is p is greater than or equal to 0.2, and h sub 1 is p is less than 0.2. Now our original claim is with h sub 1. Okay, so that's steps 1, 2, and 3, and 4 is state the value of alpha, which is 0.1. Calculate the test statistic. Well, they already did that for us. Negative 1.23. And then step 6 is use the p-value method or the traditional method. They're asking us to find the p-value, so we're going to use the p-value method. Now I need to figure out if I have a left tail, right tail, or a two-tail test. So I need to look at what is h sub 1, which that is a less than, so it's going to be a left-tailed test. So here's my test statistic of negative 1.23. In the p-value, if I'm in a left-tailed test, the p-value will be the area to the left of the test statistic. So I need the area to the left. So this right here. So I need to go to my z-score table, go down to the negative side, and I need negative 1.2. There's negative 1.2, and then 3. All right, where they intersect is right here, 0.1093. Okay, that's the area to the left, 0.1093. So that's the area to the left of my test statistic, which is this thing right here, which by definition, this is my p-value right here, which that's what they were looking for. But we're going to go ahead and go on to steps 7 and 8. Okay, so step 7 is we're going to state whether we fail to reject or reject h sub 0. So we're going to compare the p-value to alpha. Our p-value is 0.1093 and our alpha is 0.1, and we'll see which one is bigger. So the 0.1093 is bigger, which means the p-value is bigger. If the p-value is high, the null must fly, or we say we fail to reject h sub 0. Okay? Step 8 is saying put everything back into English so everybody can understand. So we said that we are going to fail to reject h sub 0, which means that we are keeping h sub 0, but we're rejecting h sub 1, which h sub 1 was the claim, so we're really rejecting the claim. Or you could come down here to this, and we said, okay, we are failing to reject h sub 0, and the claim is h sub 1. Okay, so that would be this right here. There is not sufficient evidence to support the claim. So we'll go back, and that's what we will write. There is not sufficient evidence to support the claim. that, and our claim is p is less than 0.2. That's it. Okay? Assume that the significance level is 0.1. Use the given information to find the p-value. The test statistic of z is equal to negative 1.7 is obtained when testing the claim that p is equal to 1 over 5. Okay, so we'll start off with the claim that p is equal to 1 over 5. And you can change that to a decimal if you want to. The opposite is p is not equal to 1 over 5. H sub 0, p is equal to 1 over 5. H sub 1, p is not equal to 1 over 5. Which now our claim is H sub 0. Okay, state the level of significance. Well, that is 0.1. Find your test statistic, which is negative 1.7. They just gave that to us. Okay, either use the p-value method or the traditional method. They're asking for a p-value, so we will use the p-value method. Okay, I need to figure out, do I have a left tail, right tail, or two tail test? So we're going to look at what h sub 1 is. Since it's a not equal to, I'm going to have a two-tailed test, which means I'll have two test statistics. I'll have negative 1.7 and I'll have positive 1.7. Okay? So then, if I have a two-tailed test, the p-value is going to be twice the area beyond the test statistic. Okay? It's going to be in the tail beyond the test statistic. So there's two ways you could do this. You could find the area for both of these sides right here, or you could find the area for one and then multiply it by 2. Either way, you'll get the same answer. So I'm going to find the area for this test statistic, which means I need to go back to my z-score table, and I need to find negative 1.7, which is right here, and then 0. Okay, so that will give me 0.0446. 0.0446. Okay, don't stop right there. That is not my p-value. We would also have another area over here. This would be 0.0446. Now, I could add those two numbers to each other, or I could take this number and multiply it by 2. Either way, you're going to get the exact same answer. Okay, so our p-value is going to be 2 times 0.0446, which is equal to 0.0892. Okay, so we're going to take our p-value and compare it to alpha. So the question was asking just for the p-value, which this would be our final answer. But we're going to go on to step 7 and 8. So the p-value we just got was 0.0892, and we're going to compare that to 0.1, and we'll see which one is bigger, which in this case, alpha is bigger. So now the p-value is low, the null must go. So we're going to reject h sub 0. Okay, so for step 8, I'm rejecting h sub 0. The claim was H sub 0. So therefore, I'm rejecting the claim. Or you could come over here. So what we're doing now is we're going to reject H sub 0. The claim was H sub 0. So that's going to be right here. There is not sufficient evidence to support the claim. And that's what we'll write here. There is not sufficient evidence to support the claim that P is equal to 1 over 5. And that's it. So we've looked at a left tail, a right tail, and a two-tail case working with the p-value method.